Hello everybody, welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm Brian Stuart. Well, we're continuing on our theme of robots. And have you ever wondered about where robots came from? Well, in this lesson we're going to find out because we're going to talk about early robots. We're going to learn about the history of robots. Where did robots come from? What kind of robots were the first robots? Well, let's take a look at a picture first, and we can see a lot of different examples of early robots. You know, the first robots that came out, right? It looks like this machine. This is all the robot? Yes, because it all controlled this little robot bird up here on the top, right? Look at how ugly that is, and all that machinery just for this tiny little robot at the top, right? And of course, robots have been famous in storybooks and cartoon books like this here. There's been different types of robots, of course, early robots used in factories for lifting things up, did different things. I'm not really sure what this is. Now, this is not a robot. This is a person. It's a person, an astronaut on the moon. But the people who went to the moon, the astronauts on the moon in the 1960s, used robots to help them get around on the moon and also to help them guide their spacecraft and build the spacecraft to the moon. Without robots, people would not have been able to go to the moon. Here we can see some early robot legs, right? Little robot play dogs. I think this is called Aibo, right? The little Japanese robot dogs that were very popular a few years ago. And of course, maybe you have one of these in your home. This is an example of a robot vacuum cleaner that goes around and cleans up the dust and the dirt in your home. Okay, so these are all examples of early robots. This is not so early, but it's still kind of a simple robot. So these pictures all show different stages in the history of robots. Okay, we have our first word here, and it looks like she's having fun, right? She's going around and around. She's to turn around on a center. And what is she on, by the way? She's on a merry-go-round. She's on a merry-go-round. That's what we call this play toy at a playground. It's a merry-go-round. And what is she doing? The merry-go-round just turns around on a center. So what is it doing? It is rotating to just turn around and around, and there's a center, right? So you have the center and you're turning around on the center. You're just rotating to rotate around. The earth rotates around on its center, right? So to rotate is just to turn around and around like on a merry-go-round. Actually, when you think about it, on the earth, we're all on a very big merry-go-round, aren't we? But we don't feel it. Okay, next one. The foot of an animal. Oh, this is kind of cute, right? Do you have a dog, right? Sometimes you can say, okay, hello, hello, and the dog will shake hands with you. It's a trick, right? So when you do that, you take the dog's what? The foot of an animal. We don't really call it a foot. There's a special word for it for animals, not for people, but for animals we call it a paw. A paw. Dogs have a paw. Bears have a paw. Lions have a paw, but be careful of the lion's paw. They're very dangerous, right? But dogs' paws are cute, right? You can hold them and say, hello, doggy, right? You can train your dog to shake hands or shake paws. Okay, next one. Oh, who's this guy? He looks, maybe you don't know who he is. Okay, it's getting a little bit old now. But he is imitating a famous speaker. He is imitating Elvis Presley. If you don't know who that is, ask your mom or dad. They'll know. He's a famous singer, famous American singer, Elvis Presley. He's a very deep voice, like, you know, he sings kind of like that, okay? But Elvis Presley, to imitate, what's another word for that? To mimic. To mimic is to copy or imitate somebody. Imitate also means to copy. But a copy is like, you know, if you're going to copy something, you copy a book on a machine. But if you're going to behave or dress or act in the same way as somebody else, it's better to use mimic instead of copy, right? If you mimic somebody, mimic is specifically for a person who is copying the actions or behavior of another person. That is mimic. So when you copy or behave the actions of another person, you are imitating them. Okay? You are mimicking them, to mimic somebody. Okay, next one. A wheel with teeth. So these are wheels, right? But they have teeth. Not teeth that are going to bite you, right? But teeth that catch onto other teeth and turn them around. And these things, like you turn this one, it will turn that one, and it will turn that one. And you can find these things in many machines. This is how many machines are able to do work with these gears, with a gear. In fact, in your car, you have different gears, different speeds. On your bicycle, you have different gears, right? You can change the gear on a fancy bicycle. So if you're going up a hill or down a hill, you can change the gear to go faster or to have more power when you pedal it. So gears are very important for many different machines. They're just basically wheels with teeth on them. Okay, to lift something up. To lift something up, what are they doing? They are raising. So to raise parts of a building, to help them build that building, they are raising something. To lift something up, you raise something. What do you raise every day in school? You raise your hand. I hope you raise your hand. You should raise your hand in class. Ask your teacher questions. If you don't know the answer, raise your hand. Lift it up. Okay? A bird with a heavy body and short legs. You see these birds everywhere, especially in the city, right? They're going around, boop, 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 and they get the bread, or they get the little things from the ground, and they go coo, coo, right? What are they? They are pigeons. Pigeons, but they're kind of dirty birds, right? Don't touch them. You know, maybe you can throw them food, but you know, don't chase them. Don't try to touch them, because that's not good for your health, actually. But these are called pigeons, and unfortunately, they go huajiangshil everywhere, right? They go to the bathroom all over the place, and it's little white places on the ground. So they are pigeons. Hopefully, they don't fly over you. Oh no, that's terrible, right? But pigeons are everywhere. Okay. What in the world is this guy doing? Important and respected, the word is impressive. Now, maybe that's up to your opinion. Okay, if I look at this guy, I don't think impressive. I think silly or foolish. Okay, but let's say there's an important politician or an important person gives a speech. Let's say we're talking about, like, for example, Martin Luther King. Do you know who that is? Martin Luther King was a very important leader in American history, in the civil rights movement. He was a black preacher who spoke for equal rights for black people and white people. In fact, people of all races and all ages and all sexes. And he was a very impressive speaker. He was important. Many people respected him. He was impressive. Okay? Usually, some politicians are impressive. Unfortunately, not all politicians are impressive. Actors can be impressive. If you, wow, that person really is a good actor, then you respect that person. They are impressive. Okay? If you're an artist, maybe you think that's impressive. Other people might think it's kind of silly. But, you know, it's a matter of opinion, really. Okay, so impressive is important and respected. Next one. Of the present time. Of the present time, in this case, they're talking about the style. The style is a reflection, or it shows the present time. It is modern style. Of course, you know, you can talk about old-fashioned style. When you go into houses or buildings, you look at the decorations. You can say, oh, this is old-fashioned, or some of them, they might look very modern, very clean, very simple, modern style. Okay, so modern. It just means of the present time. But modern doesn't just mean, be careful, it doesn't just mean the decoration on the inside of a building. It can also mean the way that people are thinking. Oh, that's modern thinking. Or it's modern behavior. Or it's a modern machinery. Or it's a modern movie. So modern just means of the present time. It's an adjective used to describe many different things. Next one. A type of tall plant with white or colored flowers. And it looks like this. Do you know what type of flower this is? This flower is called a lily. Lily. My wife, her favorite flower is the purple lily. So I have to remember that. Otherwise I get in trouble if I forget, right? But anyway, lily is a very beautiful and impressive flower. So you could say, wow, a lily can be an impressive flower because it's very beautiful. Okay. A person who makes and repairs, oops, that's a little mistake there. We'll just check that out. A person who makes and repairs clocks. So this person, when they're making a clock or they're repairing a clock, we call them a clockmaker. That's very simple, right? Makes clocks, clockmaker. How simple is that? We're just putting two words together to make one word. Clockmaker. Clockmaker. You could also say watchmaker. People who make watches. Be careful. Oh, that's a good thing. This is not a clock. Do not say that this is a clock. This is not a clock. That's Konglish. Okay? This is a watch. Okay? So watch. A clock is on the wall, right? If you have a clock on the wall, that's a clock. This is a watch. Don't say I have a clock on my wrist. What? That's a big clock on your wrist? That's very heavy. It's very strange. How do you put on your shirt? It's crazy, right? So don't put a clock on your wrist. Put a watch on your wrist. But we can say watchmaker or clockmaker. Kind of the same thing. They do the same things, really, and they can probably do both, right? So you can say he's a clockmaker or he's a watchmaker. Okay, so clockmaker or watchmaker. But remember the difference between clock and watch. They're not the same. Okay. Whoa, what happened here? This guy looks very, he looks very surprised. Something that is not expected is surprising. Now be careful here. Do not say he is surprising. That's not right. He is surprised, right? Be careful. He is not surprising. Don't use ing to describe him. Use ed to describe him. He is surprised. The message is surprising. Okay? So we use surprising to describe the thing that makes him surprised. Okay? And we do that with all sorts of adjectives like that. For example, let's take another one. Boring. Do you say, I am boring? No. I say the book is boring. It makes me bored. I am bored. The book that I'm reading, well, it's boring. So if I read a book, it's boring. It makes me bored. Don't say he is boring or I am boring, because if you do that, what you're saying is that I am boring. I make other people bored. Right? Don't say I am boring, right? Say I am bored, okay? He is surprised, not surprising. He is surprised because the message is surprising, okay? So the thing that makes somebody feel a certain way is ing. The person's reaction is ed. It's a good way to remember, okay? The person's reaction is ed. The thing that causes that is ing, okay? Cause is ing, reaction is ed, okay? So boring, bored. Surprising, surprised. Confusing, confused. Please don't make a mistake on those. That's a very common mistake. Okay, the next word here is unusual. So something may have pushed this boy down, but it's something unusual means it's not common, not ordinary, maybe something that's not usual, that doesn't normally happen. So another word for unusual is strange. But it's interesting to note that strange may be a little bit of a negative word. When we say unusual, it doesn't mean negative or positive. It's just unusual. It's just not ordinary. But strange has a little bit of a negative meaning. So if you say that's strange, you may have a little bit of a negative meaning to it. But strange just means unusual, not normal. If you say, a strange force pushed the boy down, it's not an ordinary force. It's not a usual thing. Okay, so let's move on. Where your ribs and heart are. Of course, some of you guys might do that. Do you play soccer? Right? You can bounce it off your what? Off your chest, right? That's fine. You cannot bounce it off your arms, but in soccer, you can hit the ball, or football, you can hit the ball with your legs, of course, with your chest, or with your head, but no hands. Only the goalie can use his hands. But usually you cannot use it. So he's using his chest to hit the ball. It's where his ribs, right, and his heart, boom, 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 are located. Where your ribs and your heart are located, that's your chest. Okay. Made of wood. If we say something is made of wood, we can just say one word to describe it as an adjective. That adjective is wooden. Wooden. This is a wooden chair. Maybe your desk at home is wooden. It's made of wood. Okay, next one. Information sent from one person to another. So what is information that is sent from one person to another? And think about this. Sometimes I call somebody, they're not there. But I talk to somebody, maybe their friend or their secretary or their mother. What do I tell that person? I give that person a message. Can I give him a message? Give someone a message. S-O means someone. Give someone a message. Give someone a message. That's a common expression. Also, can I take a message? Can I take a message? So let's review what we should say. I'm calling somebody. I'm calling my friend. My friend's not home. His mother is at home. So I talk to his mother, Mrs. Brown. Hi, Mrs. Brown. Is James there? I'm sorry, James isn't here. And Mrs. Brown can say, can I take a message? So she's going to take a message from me. I say, yes, I would like to give a message. I'm going to give James a message. Please meet me after school, right? So I can give James a message. Mrs. Brown will take a message. She'll write it down, then she'll give the message to James later. So we can say give a message, take a message. Very common expression. Message. Information sent from one person to another. Okay, next one. Oh, she looks like Katie Holmes, doesn't she? Doesn't she look like Tom Cruise's former wife? Yeah. Maybe that's from a movie. Okay, feeling happy. She's feeling happy. She's got a lot of money in her hands, right? So she can go buy something that she wants. She is pleased. Pleased. She is pleased. She's not pleasing. She's pleased. That's her reaction to the money. So this is another example, right? It is pleasing to have a lot of money. The money is pleasing to her. She is pleased. She is feeling happy. She is pleased. Remember, ED is the reaction. Her reaction to the money, she is pleased. Not she is pleasing. No, the money is pleasing. She is pleased. Okay. Now, let's review the vocabulary here. As usual, in this case, we must choose the word that best completes the sentence. So we have a lot of sentences here. We need to choose the word from the box that best fits in the blanks in these sentences. Let's review the words here very quickly. Here, first one is rotates. Rotates. Second one, paw. Paw. Next one, mimic. Mimic. Then raise. Raise. Then we have pigeon. Pigeon. Then modern. Modern. Then impressive. Impressive. Then gears. Gears. Okay? Those are the words. Let's see how they fit into the sentences. Number one, The doctor removed the thorns from the dog's what? By the way, what are thorns? Thorns are on a plant, right? Sometimes plants have like sharp needles on them. And if you brush up against them, those thorns will go into your skin. Ouch, right? And dogs, you know dogs, they're running around, they're having fun, they're smelling everything, and so they're messing around in the plants, and the thorns might get in their what? Right? Dogs will walk on what? What are dogs' feet and hands? What word do we use for those? Well, of course, we use paw. The doctor removed the thorns from the dog's paw. The dog was, running around and got thorns in its paw. So that's the word that we use. 2, there are many beep in a clock. There are many what in a clock? We talked about this. It's a wheel with teeth. And like I said, these are very important for many machines. They help those machines work and move other things. I used the example of your bicycle. On your bicycle, you have the chain that goes around one of these wheel with teeth. And in fancy bicycles, you can change the position, right, to get more power or to get more speed. What is that thing? They are, of course, gears. And there are many gears, you have to use S because many gears in a clock. And if you look inside the clock, there are many gears that make the hands move and tell the time. And remember, this is a watch, not a clock, okay? Actually, I don't know if there are any gears in here. Some watches, like this one, are a little bit modern, right? They're electronic, so it's all electronic. There are no gears. But many clocks have mechanical gears that work, and they move the hands on the clock. There are many gears in a clock. Okay, number 3. The boy couldn't beep his arms because he was sick. So in this case, think about this. If a boy is sick, he can't do what with his arms? His arms are going to stay here. It's going to be hard for him to lift. What's another word for lift? What's another word for lift here? Another word is raise. The boy couldn't raise his arms because he was sick. Okay, next one, number 4. In beep society, people live longer. So this is comparison, right? Because we're saying longer. Longer than what? Well, if we think about it, in society nowadays, these days, don't say in these days, just say these days. These days, people live longer than before, than traditional society. What's the opposite of traditional? It would be modern, in modern society. Remember I said we can use modern to describe many different things, not just the decorations inside a building, but also the way people think, our lifestyles, our society. In modern society, people live longer than they did before. Okay, next one, number 5. People can use a beep to send messages through the air. Now, we didn't talk about this, but when I described this word, I said you see them everywhere, right? And I said they're kind of dirty, don't touch them, right? But I also said be careful because they go to the bathroom all over the place. But by the way, they are also used a long time ago. People would tie messages to their feet and release them, and they would fly from one place to another. What kind of animal does that? Of course, we're talking about pigeons. People can use a pigeon to send messages through the air. And a long time ago, people did use pigeons. Before telephones, before the telegraph. The best way to send a message was with a pigeon, right? Release the pigeon, and the pigeons were trained. They knew where their homes were, so they would go to their home. Take them away from the home, release them, they would go back to their home, and people would catch them. Oh, there's a message, and they would read the message. 6. The earth beep around the sun. Now, I talked about this before when I was talking about a merry-go-round, and I said the earth was doing this by itself, but it's also doing this around the sun. What is it doing? It is, of course, it is rotating. The earth rotates around the sun. So you could say the earth also rotates because it moves around the center. The center is the sun. The earth is moving around the center, so it's rotating around the sun. But it also rotates on its axis. Okay. 7. The boy can beep his uncle perfectly. So here we're looking for a word that means copy, right? Maybe his uncle has a certain way of talking. Hello, kids. How are you doing today? You know, maybe a funny way of talking, and the boy can copy that perfectly. Sometimes people do that. Maybe your friends can copy famous actors or people on television, and they copy them really well. What are they doing? They're imitating those people. They are mimicking those people. So the boy can mimic his uncle perfectly. He can copy his behavior very, very well. Okay, number 8, the president made an beep speech last night. So the president made what kind of speech? What kind of speech can the president make? Something that's respected, something that maybe is important, something that gets a lot of attention. Right there. The president made an impressive speech last night. So that would fit. And of course, and because you have I there. An impressive speech last night. Okay, well that wraps up the vocabulary section of the lesson. Let's take a short break, come back and see how those words are used in the reading passage. Don't go away.